Today we are going to ask the question, what can you tell me about Voodoo? This is the Retro Zoo Super Show, the only retro gaming podcast broadcasting from within the retro games themselves.
Live from Kakariko Village. Broadcast throughout the Retroverse, transmitted to the real world via a maze of wires connecting a Super Nintendo to a Wii, to a Wi-Fi network, and finally to the Internet. The Techno Funk Boy presents the Retro Zoo Super Show. Now here are your hosts, Kai and Steven.
Yes, and welcome. This is the Retro Zoo Super Show. I am one of your hosts, Kai, and I do want to introduce to you our special, very, very special guest host today. We are welcoming in studio today none other than Timmy. Timmy, thanks for coming.
Hi, I'm Timmy. It's just really great to be here. I'm really excited.
Well, yeah, I mean that's great, Timmy. I heard back from some people last week that I was a little mean to you.
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, I didn't actually mean to leave you on hold for the entirety of the episode. I was kind of caught up in the radio, the radio play that we were doing, and I forgot that you were there.
Well, so you intended to give me a part in the play?
Well, I mean, no, but you know, I mean, I was gonna I guess check on you during the break.
Well, you didn't have a break.
Okay, Timmy, that's not the point. The point is, I'm sorry. I brought you on here to apologize. I didn't mean to leave you on hold for several hours until Drum picked up the phone and hung up on you.
Oh, well, Kai, that's fine. I appreciate it, and I really do. It's so much fun. It's so much fun, like being on the show. And I mean, this is kind of a dream come true for me. And I really just appreciate that all of the time and effort that y'all put into this, and it's just really great.
Timmy, you're kind of popping there.
What does popping mean?
Where's your pop filter?
What's a pop filter?
Timmy, did you take the pop filter off?
Oh, is that the thing that was sitting like the little screen that was in front of the microphone? Yeah, I took that off.
Why did you take that off?
Well, I thought it was like something like that you forgot to take off the mic, like it was part of the packaging, and that it was supposed to be removed. So I took it off and I threw it away.
Timmy, no, that keeps your peas from popping.
Why do peas pop?
It's just the way the mics are. Here, hold on. We got Here, you can put this over the microphone, and it will help. This is just a little foam covering for the microphone, so that'll help us get through the today at least. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
We'll turn off the mic first.
No, it's okay.
Timmy, turn off the mic first.
No, I got it. It's fine. Hold on.
Timmy, seriously, turn off the mic.
It's almost there.
Oh.
There.
Okay. That's great. So, anyways, welcome one and all, to the program today. We are we actually going to talk about one of my old favorite series, back from the 90s, the Gabriel Knight series from Sierra Online. And I'm really excited about this one because, last Halloween, we talked about Phantasmagoria, which is another kind of point-and-click adventure from Sierra. But Gabriel Knight is one that I actually liked quite a bit better. And so since Halloween is upon us, and this is going to be our last show before Halloween, I thought that this would be just a really great opportunity to kind of tackle one of my favorite series. Timmy, is this something that you've played?
What?
Gabriel Knight.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a guest that we're having.
No, that's the name of the game. It's called Gabriel Knight.
That doesn't sound like a very good name for a game. Maybe if it had some sort of description as to what's going on in the game, I think that would be much better. Maybe the sales would have been better if it had been more descriptive, like Phantasmagoria. That is a really creepy title in it, and it communicates something about the game itself in the title, and that's probably why it did so well.
No, Gabriel Knight did fine, and the full title of the game we're talking about is Gabriel Knight: Sins of the Father.
Well, that's just too long.
It's not too long. The game did quite well. All right, it was a big success. This was, just really universally liked by people.
Well, I've never heard of it, so maybe it wasn't as universally liked as you thought.
Okay, Timmy, I'm gonna keep going with the game. So Gabriel Knight. So, the first Gabriel Knight game came out in 93, and this was really kind of in the height of the point-and-click adventure genre. And this was something that Sierra was just so good at. You'll remember Sierra doing the King's Quest games. Quest for Glory, of course, Phantasmagoria. These sorts of games, they had a ton of them. And in the early to mid 90s, these point and click adventures were just huge. And the Gabriel Knight series, there were 3 of the games, and we are actually going to take the time to talk about 2 of them. The first one, which is Sins of the Father, we're going to talk about this week, and then we're going to tackle The Beast Within next week. And The Beast Within is actually my introduction into the genre. I played it first, and it's really interesting. It's a full motion video game.
That's a little redundant.
I know. It's full motion video game, and which it's kind of notorious for not being great quality, but this one turned out to be just a fantastic game. And so we're going to tackle those 2 of the 3.
Why don't we do all 3?
Because I haven't played the third one.
Well, why don't you play it?
I really don't have time to play it before the series is over.
I think that's kind of your job.
Timmy, we're just gonna keep going with this. Okay.
Great. So what's an adventure game?
I thought you liked this. Don't you listen to the show? I mean, we've talked about adventure games before.
Well, I don't listen to all the episodes, just the ones that appeal to me, that really strike my fancy.
You've gone on and on about how you're you're this massive fan and you listen to all the things, and we've had you on so many times and you don't even listen to them.
Well, I mean, like some of them.
Oh, all right, fine. Okay, so an adventure game is there's this genre of games that were very puzzle focused, that kind of puts you in a situation where you're in some sort of environment, in a room or something or other, and you find things there and you click on them and you manipulate these things as you go. And so the items you find, you might you might keep them for a later puzzle. You put them together and solve puzzles in order to progress. Kind of the culmination of the entire genre, and this was this style of gaming was just really huge at the time. With like the King's Quest games, with Phantasmagoria, with Gabriel Knight, and the one that really kind of just exploded came out the same year as Gabriel Knight, and that was Myst. So 93, just a little bit before Gabriel Knight, at least on Mac at the time. The mass release wasn't until a little bit later, but this is the kind of environment that this was in. And so there was like a wide variety of styles here. King's Quest was really heavy on puzzles, on getting through the puzzles, on, figuring out how to not die in a myriad of different ways. And a lot of these adventure games had numerous ways to die, and in a lot of them it kind of became a game in and of itself to find the different puns that were set up during death scenes or that sort of thing, and just all the ways that you could die. On the other side of the spectrum were much more serious games that like Phantasmagoria, and also games that were not as puzzle driven. Again, like Phantasmagoria. Phantasmagoria was more like just an interactive movie, especially because it was full motion video. And there were puzzles to solve, but they weren't all that complicated. And normally you could get through it just by finding all the places that you needed to click. And so it was kind of, it was almost cliche at the time that if you felt like you were getting near to the end of a chapter, but you didn't know what else you needed to do during that chapter to get to the next one, you kind of just wandered around and clicked on all the options that you had not clicked before, and that would get you through. But in games like Phantasmagoria, there are actually very few ways to die, and most of those are at the end of the game. And a lot of these type of games, including like the Gabriel Knight games, most of the ways to die are in the final chapter, and that's kind of making it feel a little bit more tense at the end, like more is at stake by amping up the pressure a little bit. But that's the kind of range that this genre had, and there was a lot of stuff in between. And Gabriel Knight 1 was a lot more in between the two. And when we get to Gabriel Knight 2 next week, we're going to find that is much more of in a style of like an interactive movie. But in this game, there were a lot of puzzles to figure out. There was also a lot of, hunt and click for the right pixel in order to get through to the next section. But there was a lot. There's a lot of puzzles. There's a lot of figuring stuff out. But the game itself has some elements to it that make it truly unique and interesting to me. So the first thing to mention is that Gabriel Knight, all three games are just the brainchild of Jane Jensen, who worked on quite a few Sierra games, including King's Quest, one of the King's Quest games before this, and this was really her baby. She is to this day associated with this series. The first two games were novelized by Jensen herself, and I've actually read both of those books, and they're actually pretty good, and probably worth looking at if you get a chance. But it was also voice acted by just an exceedingly talented cast, and that's not to say that there wasn't a nice firm level of cheese in this, because this was a 1993 adventure title, and there's got to be a little bit of tongue-in-cheek in that it wouldn't be a 90s adventure title without it. But Tim Curry plays Gabriel Knight, and when we get into the plot a little bit, we're going to find Gabriel Knight is like this Cajun New Orleans guy, and having Tim Curry there doing his best New Orleans accent for the entirety of the game is just simply fun. It's just a blast to listen to. There are a lot of occasions where his accent goes in and out, but it's Tim Curry doing New Orleans accent, and there's just nothing better. The main kind of police character in this is Detective Mosley, and he's voiced by Mark Hamill, doing a pretty good Southern accent. Grace Nakamura is Gabriel's manager at his bookstore, and she is voiced by Leah Remini. We have a couple of other people. Those are the three main characters, but a couple of others. Michael Dorn of Star Trek fame plays Dr. John, for instance. And so you have this just really great voice talent that really kind of puts the production up a notch. The graphics are very distinctly early 90s Sierra. And Sierra had this certain style to it, that it makes them really stand out. But you can also tell as you're going that the care put into this is really well done. All the backgrounds are very lush. They're very full. They're full of color. They feel lived in. Especially Gabriel's bookstore is just, it feels very homey. It feels very lived in. And this is the kind of stuff that you get throughout. If you go into stores, sometimes the shelves aren't arranged the best or a little crowded. There's stuff that's scattered places, and it feels like these are places where people exist and they live in. So these are things that I think really have are going for the game, that really step it up to the next level. But it's some of the elements of the plot that I think are really stand out, especially when you compare. We talked about Phantasmagoria last year for our Halloween episode, and Phantasmagoria is, if you saw Phantasmagoria as a movie, you'd be completely bored, because it is a haunted house story. And, the origin of the haunting is fairly interesting, but you don't really get into it that much until you're well into the game. The acting is it's better than normal, but it's not fantastic. And, there's very limited cast, and, like the characters that are there are not ridiculously sympathetic. I think, with the exception of the heroine of the story, I think she was a very good character. But it works as a video game, but as a story in and of itself, it doesn't. And that's one thing that sets Gabriel Knight apart. So there are parts that have that adventure game corniness to them. But most of it could translate like to a novel quite well. And the background of it is very well researched. Again, comparing it to like a Phantasmagoria, which is just a completely original story that doesn't, it has an internal history, but you don't get a sense of the time and place of it. But Gabriel Knight has a very deep history that is really drawing off of all of the many influences that have kind of weaved its own spell over New Orleans as a city and created this culture. But it's just fascinating to see how all of these cultural elements that, whose origin we don't think about and we've forgotten theave influenced the city and have influenced this plot. And that's one of the big themes of the game is that there's a bunch of stuff that's happened in the past that has gotten us to where we are today. And while we are mostly just ignorant of what's come before us, these things are actually really important, and have a lot of bearing on where we are. And we're going to see that in the plot, as we go.
Wait, are you gonna give away the whole plot?
Yes.
Well, but I haven't played it yet, so maybe like you could like just give like a teaser this week, and next week we'll come back and we'll talk about the plot, and I'll try to play it in the meantime.
Well, I don't really have enough to talk about if we don't talk about the plot. That's kind of the game's 25 years old. I don't think we can really move on with the series without talking about the plot.
Well, see, that wasn't explained to me, when I agreed to be on. I thought I'd get a chance to play it. Don't y'all play games as you're talking about them?
No. Actually, we did do that once. You know what? Never. Okay. I tell you what, Timmy, why don't you go in the other room and get a drink of water while I talk about the plot, and then you can play it to your heart's content and listen to the podcast later.
Oh, okay. Great.
Okay, he's gone. All right. So, there's a lot about this game that's going to play into what comes next, because this really is as a game, this is an origin story. This is, where getting Gabriel where we need him to be in order to kind of move on with the series. And so more than really most of these adventure games that eventually spawn 5 gazillion sequels, Gabriel Knight was meant to be kind of like a pilot episode to a series. And oddly enough, it had the least amount of sequels really of I think pretty much any Sierra adventure game series, even though it was really made for sequels. But when we join Gabriel Knight, he has inherited a little bit of money and opened himself up a used and rare bookshop. He has hired Grace to be a manager. and she is an American-born a person of Japanese descent. Her parents, I think in the book, it kind of goes into their relationship, and it's kind of cool. About they're encouraging her to continue her studies, but she has this job over the summer. And that's going to play into the future games quite a bit as well. But we have entered into this larger mystery of the Voodoo murders. And it's just a series of serial killings that have like these elements to them that are suggesting, a voodoo connection. And the police are denying the voodoo connection, but Gabriel Knight decides he wants to write a book based on these murders. And Detective Mosley, who is just imagining himself, like being a main character of this book, is giving Gabriel all the scoop and almost pretty much letting Gabriel get away with murder. And so that kind of puts this element into it where Gabriel is able to do a bunch of stuff in the game that he normally would not be able to do, just because Mosley does not want to make Gabriel mad so that his picture won't be in the book. So like there's parts of the book that Knight impersonates a police officer, steals Mosley's badge, steals evidence, really tampers with all sorts of stuff, goes to crime scenes. He is a police officer's worst nightmare, to be sure. But Mosley kind of catches him, but keeps letting him get away with it because he wants his name in this book. Gabriel himself, it really fancies himself as quite the ladies' man. And one of the great pleasures of this game is listening to Tim Curry doing his New Orleans accent, and flirting with every single female he meets throughout the game, pretty much, with the exception of like his grandma and the old woman that he meets later in the game. But pretty much everyone else he flirts with, and he strikes out with every single one except one. But that'll be put later in the game. He really does have this balance where he has like this rustic charm to him, but at the same time, he greatly overestimates that same charm. And so he's really a fascinating character, and he grows quite a bit in the course of the series, where in this game, he's coming into his own. We're going to see him transform in the course of this game, into the character that we need him to be moving forward. But what he has essentially wandered into is a very old struggle between his family, which he knows nothing about, and these ancient African roots that have been kind of enfolded into the local voodoo, unknowingly. So, stepping back a little bit, Gabriel's family, he comes from this line of these wealthy German paranormal warriors called Schattenjägers, which is German for shadow hunters. And they had this talisman that had these magical properties that helped their family thrive. And just for centuries, they have been in this German town called Rittersberg, and it's fighting the supernatural. But then they came across this very powerful African priestess character called Tetelo, who stole the talisman from them. And ever since then, Tetelo's family has been on the rise and Knight's family has been on the decline, until the point that Gabriel Knight finds himself in New Orleans and he has no concept of this history behind him. And obviously it's something he's going to learn along the way. Meanwhile, Tetelo's descendant is basically running the town and is really kind of the force behind all these murders and all kind of the dark stuff going on in town. The story is, kind of, as Gabriel's unfolding this, and he's peeling back all of the modern layers to this onion, where all of this culture has kind of mixed together into New Orleans, and he's starting to figure out where all the elements are coming from. He gets back in touch with, the rest of the last remaining person of his family, the final Schattenjäger, who is elderly and about to go, and is trying to reach out to Gabriel to come take the position back. And that story is going to take Gabriel to Germany, where he kind of figures out, hey, this is the thing that I need to do. And I need to, in this kind of maturing process, I need to step up and make sure that I am worthy to do this. And so he, in kind of a really cool scene, he takes this almost a baptism ceremony, that kind of dubs him as the new Schattenjäger himself. And he comes out of it with this new purpose and transformation. And so he and his uncle, make their way to Africa, find Tetelo's tomb, retrieves the medallion, and that weakens Tetelo's family enough that they're able to go face down that element back in New Orleans, or Gabriel is. Of course, a lot of the things that we expect happen along the way. His uncle dies, leaving Gabriel alone in this role. His girlfriend is, the evil one all along, naturally. And he has to choose whether to try to save her or conquer the spirit. So of course he tries to save her, and in the good ending, he tries to save her and she sacrifices himself. These are kind of some of the cliche elements that we would expect in the game, but, in a game that we were not expecting a lot of where it's going. So a lot of the charm of the game is the stuff that's not expected. We're expecting Sierra games to have, like these kind of outrageous, cool characters that, are quick-witted and sometimes sarcastic. And, you have to sit there and question them and try to draw out information. Stuff you're not expecting, though, is to get into the history of voodoo and to kind of peel that onion back and trace all these threads back to Haiti and to Africa and to Germany and find out where all these kind of spiritual influences are converging in this moment. To do that, the game, and all three games do this. The game has you do a lot of research, and the series has become it's not kind of known for just the meticulous research that Jane Jensen has put into these games that have you following these threads out, and they're simply a lot of fun. And all three games do this in a way that's not boring. That you're not sitting there reading a book, but you're genuinely uncovering things that are very cool and learning things that are very neat and interesting and tie into the plot really, really well. And that's one of those things that just separate them, this game from the pack. the strong characters, Sierra Games has some cool characters, some outrageous characters, but characters like Grace in this game are just really, really well built and are very interesting characters. Gabriel Knight is not at all two-dimensional. We kind of expect when he comes, sauntering out as the ladies' man, we're expecting something, but that's not where his character goes. Detective Mosley himself plays a bumbling idiot at the beginning, but he has his own plot in the background, and as you go, you realize, how effective he is, and how good at his job, and how he's figuring out stuff on his own as well. And so a lot of these elements I really like in the game. And so, that's kind of our overview of Gabriel Knight. I do think that Timmy is coming back. So why don't we do this? Why don't we head over to a commercial, and we will come back and discuss a little bit more of Gabriel Knight.
Hey, it's Phil from Phil's Gaming Emporium. That's philsgamingemporium.com. With all this talk about Gabriel Knight, we are running this special for you. If you're a fan of these games, then this is something you must have. This is the actual medallion of the Ritter family that belonged to Gabriel Knight, that he recovered in Africa, that restored his family honor. And you can have this actual medallion of the Schattenjägers for yourself so that your family can find prosperity too. Limit 5 per customer. You need to go to philsgamingemporium.com and order today.
Hey, it's Kai here. We recently finished our latest EP, Quest of the Dragon Warrior. It's an electronic tribute to Dragon Warrior and the amazing music that game gave us. We're really excited about how this music came out, and we want you to have it for free. If you go to technofunkboy.com/Dragon Warrior and sign up for our weekly newsletter, you'll get the songs to download and keep for free forever. That's technofunkboy.com/Dragon Warrior, or check the show notes for a link. And we are back.
Kai, I need to go to the little boy's room right now.
Timmy, this is a live show. You can't do that.
Well, but you took so long that I had to drink of water, but you were still talking, and you talked for a very long time, and so I just got more water. So yeah.
Okay. All right. That's fine. That's fine. Go ahead. I was gonna ask you something, but it does look like Drum, is that a call?
We do have a call on line 1.
All right. So let us jump over to line 1. Caller, you are on the air.
My name is Knight. Gabriel Knight.
Gabriel Knight. Wow. Hey, this is great. Gabriel Knight. So, yeah, this is the guy we've been talking about the whole time. So thank you so much for calling. What can we do for you?
Mind if I pick your brain?
Yeah, sure. What would you like to know?
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Honestly, not really a lot. It's not really something that I've studied a lot of. I'm just mostly what I found out from the game, there's I don't think that I'm going to be able to help you much on that.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Again, it's not really my field of study. I can tell you about Sins of the Father a little bit, but besides that, no, probably not much.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
Gabriel, I don't know that much about voodoo.
What do you know about the voodoo murders?
Oh, so yeah, the voodoo murders. They, that's the case we're talking about. That was really cool. It's like, y'all were, really researching the series of murders, like the serial killer that had a lot of elements that was suggesting voodoo. But, I think the police were saying that it wasn't voodoo for a little bit, but y'all really, really nailed them.
Oh, hi, I'm back.
Oh, hey, Gabriel, this is Timmy. Gabriel Knight's on the phone.
Oh, hi. My name is Timmy.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
That's the thing that you do so well.
Timmy, no, don't. Please don't.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
I don't really know that much.
Are you sure you can't give me the scoop on the voodoo murders case?
I mean, if you wanted me to give it away, then it was like, an ancient spirit that's possessing your girlfriend, and her name is Tetsulo.
I thought you spoiled it.
Timmy, I'm sorry.
I had 14 glasses of water just so I wouldn't get spoiled.
Well, Timmy, I forgot. He's asking me about the voodoo murders. I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do.
What can you tell me about St. John's
Gabriel,
Eve?
can you give us a minute here? Timmy, I'm sorry.
I'm just kind of not really happy right now.
Timmy, look, I'm sorry. Look, we're gonna do Beast Within next week. So maybe you can start playing that.
Am I gonna be on with you next week?
No, that's not gonna happen.
What can you tell me about St. John's Eve?
It's like, I don't know, it's like this thing in voodoo. Like it's basically like, New Year's Eve for voodoo is kind of the impression I got.
I wouldn't know. I didn't play it.
Okay.
What can you tell me about New Orleans?
Oh, well, New Orleans. I've actually been there a couple of times. I really like New Orleans. I like the music. I like the food, beignets, Café du Monde right off the French Quarter. Have spent a lot of time there. I think that's really, really good. So Timmy, do you like beignets?
There's a Cajun place down the street from me, and I like their blackened chicken po' boys. I've never quite understood why they're called po' boys.
Well, I think it's like short for poor boy.
Well, why don't they say poor boy? I was taught in school that, when you can avoid it, you shouldn't speak in contractions.
Okay. It's just, Timmy, I don't know. It's just a thing.
Do you know what Caprice encore means?
Gabe, these are kind of weird questions, man. I don't speak French at all. I actually only know 3 phrases in French. They are, ooh la la, oui oui, and
That's not nice at all.
Well, he's asking me to translate something out of French. I don't speak French.
Are you sure you don't know what Caprice encore means?
Gabe, I don't know. No, I don't. I don't. Timmy, do you know?
Well, I took some French in high school, and I recognize none of those words.
I was going to say something, but I took Spanish in high school, and I know nothing. So I'm not going to even say anything. I'm not going to say anything about that.
What can you tell me about voodoo?
All right, that's it.
Did you hang up on Gabriel Knight?
Yes, I hung up on Gabriel Knight. He's just annoying me at this point.
But he's trying to solve a mystery.
I don't know anything about voodoo. He's just repeating the same question over and over again.
Well, I thought maybe that we could try to help him.
Well, we can't. He wants us to translate French and tell him about voodoo and stuff, and clearly he knows more about this than we do.
So since you're not very nice to him, does he get to guest host next week?
No, that's not going to be a thing now. That's not a thing. This is the last time. I'm trying to be nice to people. Clearly I fail at it, and I can't just keep letting people guest host every time I'm mean to someone, because that means Steven will never come back to the show.
Where is Steven? I thought he would be here. I really like him.
He's not here.
Well, that's not really what I asked. I asked where is...
Okay, thank you for joining us for the Retro Zoo Super Show. We do really appreciate you being here. This was actually the first time that we recorded this show live on Twitch, which is something that we're hoping to do a lot more in the future. So if you haven't already, please do follow us on Twitch at twitch.tv/technofunkboy. We also are broadcasting live through our Discord app, and links to both of those things will be in the show notes. And so we hope that you will check us out there. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will be back next week with more Gabriel Knight.
The Retro Zoo Super Show is brought to you by the Techno Funk Boy. Follow us on Twitter at Techno Funk Boy, on Facebook at the Techno Funk Boy, and sign up for our email list at technofunkboy.com. Also look for us on Spotify, iTunes, and Amazon for music. If you are so inclined, please leave us a 5-star rating and review on your favorite podcast catcher. If you are not so inclined, you are obviously some sort of villain trying to conquer the world. Unowned music and gameplay clips are used for educational and critical purposes. Thank you for listening, keep gaming, and once you have responsibilities that need to be done at this time, then you can game later.